Well, hello, folks out there in YouTube land. Got a big show lined up for you. Let's get right on into it. All right. Yeah, there's talk of Sellers possibly entering the transfer portal. This is something that's going around the news channels. Also, the Vols are #1 in basketball, which is fantastic. They're just killing it. And Mark Stoops, is he going to stay at Kentucky? He's had a rough road this season. We're going to talk all about that. Let's get into the LaNorris Sellers first. All right, now LaNorris is a heck of an athlete. You know, I've been covering him all season, and I've told you from day one that he wasn't ready for prime time right at the beginning, but you could see that the guy had flashes. I mean, you can see the athlete that he is at 6'3", 250, and can run like the wind. And he's a guy that you kind of got to root for. And I've taken a lot of grief from the Vols fans, like, what are you rooting for him for? Well, he's a 3-star. He's a 4.0 student. He's a really good dude, and he wears those goggles, which reminds me of the 1970s. So you got to root for him. Anyway, he has really improved. He's the most improved quarterback in the country. I don't think there's any question. He still has some fundamental problems with his throwing style. His footwork gets a little bit crazy at times, and it causes him to have some horrible throws. But, man, when he's on, he's phenomenal. And you cannot tackle this dude. He has had a couple of scrambles that completely turned the complexion of the game and switched the momentum. And I thought Jalen Milroe was the best running quarterback. I don't know. It might be Sellers. Pretty strong. Well, anyway, he's worth a lot of money right now. You know, he's a redshirt freshman this year. He's going to be a sophomore. And there's a lot of talk about him entering the portal and who he might go to unless South Carolina can pony up the dough.
Woo! 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 Ow! Love that money.
And this is a story on Fansided. Talks about LaNorris Sellers' transfer destinations that could outbid South Carolina in NIL. And the writer makes it clear he doesn't want him to transfer because he knows he's going to take a ton of grief from the South Carolina fans. I don't really mind. I know I'm going to take grief from them because I've given them so much grief about their connection to Connor Stallions.
The sign stealer guy.
Allegedly.
But anyway, here are the teams that he thinks Sellers is going to be very coveted by. Starting out with Ole Miss Rebs, Lane Kiffin. I could definitely see him being very interested in Sellers. Now, Ole Miss has got a freshman down there that looks pretty good, but I don't know. I don't know that I'd be counting on a freshman. We'll see, but Lane Kiffin always has a great quarterback, so whether he would go after LaNorris, if he's out there, I promise you he'll make a phone call. Number 4, Florida State. Mike Norvell. I'll just say this to you. You screwed up so big time on the DJ deal that it's not even funny. You went 2-10 this year. If Sellers hits that portal, you should literally get in your Learjet that you can afford, because Lord knows you're making enough money. You should hightail it to South Carolina and talk to LaNorris Sellers and try to get him down there because he would change the game for you immediately. I could totally see FSU, and they love to raid South Carolina's cupboard.
Hey, buddy. Hi. Oh, great. This is going to be a great year.
And they like to get their best players. They've done it multiple times, tight end, running backs, all this sort of thing. Alabama Crimson Tide.
My Alabama Crimson Tide.
This would be interesting. I'm sure Jalen Milroe, he's got to be going to the NFL. So they'll be looking. Now, they've got some guys down there that are pretty darn good. So I don't know. I see Kalen DeBoer going with a guy that's more of an accurate passer, more of a timing passer. Sellers has too many issues with his throwing that I don't see him being a good fit for Alabama. DeBoer needs to go back to his offense and get a quarterback that fits it, like he had in Washington.
Next Saturday night, we're sending you back to the future.
So I'm not really counting Alabama in this one. Miami Hurricanes definitely could see that. They went and got Cam Ward, and that was great for them this year. They almost made the playoff had they been able to beat, I don't know, was it Illinois or Syracuse? One of those middle-of-the-road teams. Illinois, are they in the ACC? I can't even keep track anymore. They've got Stanford in the ACC. They got SMU. They've got California. I mean, it's ridiculous. How can you have 2 teams in California in the ACC? That's the Atlantic Coast Conference. Atlantic's over here. Pacific's over here. Anyway, I could see Miami Hurricanes being very interested in him. Big money, no whammies. They'll throw the money at Miami. You know that. That's how they got so good so fast. Watch out for Miami if Sellers hits that portal because they'll pay. Number 1, the Georgia Bulldogs. Oh, my gosh. I don't know about that. I'm going to lean towards not thinking Georgia Bulldogs on this. They've got a couple of good backups there, and then good gosh, they got Jaden Rashada.
Where's my money? Where's my money? Yeah, you got money to pay for fake mustaches, huh?
They got Gunner Stockton. How about that for a football name? Gunner. Anyway, I think Georgia would stand pat, so I don't see that happening. But the three that I do would be Miami, FSU, and Ole Miss maybe. So here's the thing, South Carolina and Shane Beamer, who got Coach of the Year, by the way. 9-3, man. And they really should have been 10-2, honestly. They got so many bad calls in that LSU game. And I'm not pinning it on LSU. It's their job to take advantage of great breaks, which is what they got them in that game. But anyway, I don't care what it cost, South Carolina. If you let somebody come in and take that quarterback from you over money, you need to move out of the SEC. It's just a fact, because here's the thing. You've got the base. That Dylan Stewart, you're going to have to pay him really well. He's fantastic. Guy had 6.5 sacks this year. He's a true freshman. He's going to be tremendous. Kyle Kennard, you got out of Georgia Tech. He went from 6 sacks to almost 12. That guy was incredible. He really was. What a great pickup. Who would have thought he'd gone from Georgia Tech with 6 sacks, come in the SEC and get 12? He's going to be a first-round draft pick this year, and he's a fifth-year senior, so he's gone. So anyway, hopefully for you South Carolina fans, you don't let LaNorris leave. You've had a bunch of good players take off over money. You know this. I've covered it extensively. So anyway, get your money together. Otherwise, I promise you LaNorris will be gone. And if I was his advisor, I'd be going, yeah, I'd enter the portal just to get your maximum dollar. You almost got to. 3-star last year. Holy crap. And that's not the only story out there about it. All right, now we're going to talk about the Tennessee Vols basketball team. They're going to be number 1.
Again.
They have had a phenomenal start. You know, we had Dalton Connect last year who was Dalton was unbelievable.
He's good. He's real good. The name is Dalton.
Yeah, he was special.
Roadhouse.
Well, we had to replace him, and we kind of did it like in the Moneyball. We did it in the aggregate by bringing in 4 different players, 2 or 3 of which can match up with his numbers. And ESPN's already got him as number 1. They've moved up from number 12. They have flown up the boards. And it talks about Chaz Lanier, who's averaging almost 24 points a game. Man, can he fire the 3. Auburn's now number 2. They've got a great team. Iowa State is up to 3. Kansas number 4. And if you want to see why they've flown up the boards, look at these excellent teams they played. I'm not going to count the scrubs, but Louisville they beat by 22. Virginia they beat by 22. Baylor they beat by 25. And Syracuse by 26. Those are all ranked teams they beat by over 20 points. I mean, they're absolutely boat racing teams. It almost feels like they've been playing together all year, and they got 4 big-time transfers that have just started playing together. And Lanier, like I said, he's averaging close to 20 points for the season, but over 24 for the last several games. Millisak's been a huge addition. He's another transfer guy. Okpara has been great as far as playing center and strong forward. And then if they get Dubar going, this is a guy that just started playing. He's only played 4 games so far. He averaged 14 points last year. So Rick Barnes has once again put together a great team. He's done it out of the portal along with some guys from his base. But anyway, they're sitting at number 1. Rick is getting it done. So we've got our football team in the playoff. We got our basketball team sitting at number 1 and our baseball team sitting at number 1. That's not too shabby, folks. I've got people in the comment section that have literally told me, well, we've lost to Georgia too much, so fire Heupel. Now I'm like, well, why don't we get rid of Danny White too while we're at it, the athletic director? Heupel's won 30 games in the last 3 years. He's sitting in the playoff. We've been ranked number 6 twice in the last 3 years. And it seems like people are forgetting where we were before Heupel showed up. So I know that's a very small number of people that do that, but it's like I read those comments like, what do you want? My God. Number 6, number 1, and number 1. That's not good enough. Okay. Anyway, moving on. Let's talk about Mark Stoops. He's staying. According to him, he's staying. And here he is on X. He said, everybody wants to replace me right now, but I'm not going anywhere. My butt will be in my office tomorrow. Anyone who wants me to be gone anywhere is wishful thinking. My butt is going to work. Thinks a lot about his butt, doesn't he?
That's twice! I want some butts!
Says, I am sorry I disappointed folks, but I am optimistic we will turn it around. Stoops. And the reason people are so upset, it says Mark Stoops finishes his 12th year at Kentucky, 1-7 in the SEC, 4-8 overall. His overall career at Kentucky as of right now is 28-62 in the SEC, 67-73 overall, $9 million a year salary. Enough is enough. And a lot of people have commented about Mark Stoops' comments. The Kentucky Network said, you have to be kidding me, man. Give it up. Another guy says, today was the first time in my 30-some-odd years of absolute UK fandom that I did not care if they won. I'm usually a nervous wreck. Today I felt nothing before, during, or after. Another guy says, cool, Mark. What are you trying to get at by attacking fans after that performance? Would be my rebuttal. That's after he got beat by Louisville. That was a tough loss. So the worm has definitely turned in Kentucky. They're really giving Stoops grief. Now, they'd have to pay him over like $30 million to get rid of him. They're not going to do that. They got really lucky with John Calipari that he walked on his own last year. They didn't have to pay anything. And they're doing well with their basketball team, which is really all they really care about. I know football, it matters to a few of them. Yeah, like Nick cares.
Can we just beat this team? I know that Mark Stoops has done a lot of good things. This is his one really bad thing. The stupid stat about beating teams with a winning record and taking the next step and blah, blah. Just freaking beat Tennessee. Please, can we just stop losing to this stupid team with their stupid orange colors, their stupid song, and their woo, woo, get their woo on out of here.
It's not going to happen, Nick. You're not going to beat the Vols. But anyway, so it sounds like Mark will be staying. I think they finished about 20th in recruiting this year. That's a very tough job. I will say this. He is very well paid, and up to this year, he's probably been worth it because it's really hard to win at Kentucky. It just flat out is. First of all, most of the state doesn't care that much about it. They're basketball people. And number two, they don't have a good recruiting base. And number three, most of the money goes to the basketball team. What's it? Mark Pope is their new coach now. I don't know who they'd get to go in there that could do much better. I mean, you're still going to have to pay $6 or $7 million to get a good coach. So, I mean, yeah, you're paying an extra $2 million, but Stoops has been there for you. I mean, he's won 10 games twice. So not that bad. So anyway, that's what all's going on in the SEC. Just a few of the big stories that are going on out there. There'll be plenty more. And if you like this content, be sure to hit that like button. Let me know. Continue to cover all these big college sports stories. If you've not subscribed, boom, 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 hit that little button right there. Won't cost you a dime. Helps you get my videos. And right over here is the most recent video. YouTube thinks you'll enjoy. We'll see you next time on Sports Talk Jay.